All right, good evening, everyone. Today is the 18th of September for us Air Force veterans. Happy birthday. Our branch is still maybe not the youngest anymore with Space Force, but we're 47 years old today. So, or wait, 74. I went dyslexic there. I was like, wait, it can't be older than me. So, 74 years old, Air Force today. So, uh, happy birthday to all our Air Force vets. Over the weekend, some of you got to attend our first tie-in event at American Legion, hosted by Frank. We had a good time doing that. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. We'll talk about some of the things going on, looking at the calendar of events coming up. We've got October, looks like it's going to be a busy, fun month, but that's a good thing. So, but October is right around the corner, and for all the trout park fishermen, October 31st, Tuesday, is the last day of catch and keep. And then we actually go into catch and release, and that is, I can get this to work, second Friday of November. So November 10th, is going to be the first day of catch and release at the trout parks, or actually I should say Montauk, Bennett, and Roaring Rivers. You could fish there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days a week, and then they don't fish on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Neat little thing, if you don't know, if you go to Merrimack Spring, that's not a state park, that's run by the St. James or the James Foundation, and they let you fish there all 7 days. So if you want to try to sneak out for catch and release day and have like basically no crowds, everyone thinks it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for all. If you go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Merrimack, you're going to have that place open to yourself, and it's always still good fishing there. So we'll kind of discuss a little bit further, but I'm going to let Jim take over. He's going to be our tire for this evening. It's actually still a surprise for us. I didn't know what I was going to tie, but Jim volunteered yesterday. So, Jim, I will hand it over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to tie some bucktails tonight, and bucktails are just a class of flies, and as you can tell by the name, the prime ingredient is literally bucktail. Probably the most well-known bucktail fly is the Clouser minnow. Nobody calls it a bucktail, but that's essentially what it is. It's got a bucktail body and it's got dumbbell eyes, but that's a bucktail. They are very simple flies, easy to tie, quick to tie, very effective. They've been around for 120 years, 150 years. They've been around for a long, long time. And I've always been fascinated with those kind of patterns that have been around for better than a century and stuff like that. So I got 4 different flies, and I probably won't tie them all tonight, but I'll tie a couple of them and then show you some of the variations and stuff like that. So you can kind of classify flies in, well, there's different ways to classify them, but one way to classify them is whether they look like something or they don't look like something. So if it looks like something, then it's called an imitator. So that would be a fly that looks like a mayfly, or in this case, looks like a minnow. The bucktails are streamers, and so you would fish them like a streamer. You would fish them if you were in calm water, you'd cast it out and you'd strip it back. If you're in a stream, you'd throw it into the current and let the current take it down and strip it back. So anyway, so there are imitators, and these imitators will generally look like minnows. That's usually what they're trying to imitate with bucktails. And then there are attractors. And attractors would be like a woolly booger. What does it look like? Who knows? But the fish go for it. It's kind of like, I equate it to, if we wanted to catch a cat, if we wanted to use an imitator, we would give them something that looked like a bird or a mouse or something like that. But if we wanted to use an attractor, would use a piece of string or a laser light. Those things, what is that cat thinking of? Nobody knows, but they go after it. You know, you could probably catch more cats with a piece of string than things that look like birds. So this is kind of the same thing with flies. You know, you have the imitators and you have the attractors. So I'm going to do one of each. Like I say, right now I have patterns for 4 different flies, a imitator and an attractor for bass, and imitator and attractor for trout. So I'll tie up the ones for the bass, and I'll just, I'll show you the ones from the ones for the trout, but they're all the same technique. So once you've seen one, you've seen them all. So we're going to start out. When I'm tying for bass, of course, I use streamer hooks. So those would be 3X, 4X long. I usually have 4X ones. And if I'm tying for trout, I'm going to use a size 10. If I am tying for bass, I'll use like a 6 or even a 4. And tonight I'll do a 4. So we're starting out with a streamer hook. And of course, we're going to pinch the barb. Put it in there right at the bottom corner. Oh, by the way, the name of this fly is called a silver outcast. And I don't know how long this pattern's been out there, but it's been out there for a long, long time. And then we're going to take our thread and mount it on the hook. And like many other flies, there is just an endless number of variations for everything. So this one I'm going to tie with a pearlescent mylar, flat mylar. But I have used sparkle braid. I've used, traditionally, there's a lot of streamers that are tied with silver mylar. But you have the holographic mylar. It's just, like I say, your choices are absolutely endless. But I'm going to do the pearlescent mylar for this one. So I just tie that on, bring it back, bring the thread back to the bend of the hook. And then I'm going to try to cover most of the shank of the hook. I kind of like the look of once you get the pearlescent mylar on there, you got that shine of the pearlescent shine, and then you have that black streak in the middle. And there's a lot of minnows that will have a black streak in it. If you ever gone fishing and you're fishing for trout and you see some fish rising, maybe even jumping out of the water, and but they're a little closer to shore and a little slower water, and so you go to try to catch them, and you end up catching this little minnow, and it could be 2 to 4 inches long, and it has a black stripe down its side and maybe a red spot someplace. That's a black-nosed dace, and they actually make streamers to imitate that. But that's kind of what I feel that the black under the pearlescent gives that kind of coloration. So as you're wrapping it, you're doing overlapping wraps. You want to cover every bit of the shank of the hook. Make it nice and smooth. There's no tail on this. Very few streamers have tails. Some do. As a matter of fact, the black-nosed dace does have a tail. But as you can see, I'm leaving about 3/16 of an inch bare hook in the front. And that's going to be where I tie in the bucktail for the wing. So there you go. That's the body. That's as difficult as it gets for the body. It's just a matter of wrapping something on there to cover the hook. Now we're going to start putting on our bucktail. So the first layer I'm going to put on, the first bunch, is going to be a white bucktail. Now, some people like to tie them very full. Some people like to tie them very sparse. Bob Clouser, when he ties his Clouser minnows, he ties them very, very sparse. And so I kind of lean towards the sparse, but that's a personal preference. So I'm going to take a small group of bucktail, and probably no bigger than like the diameter of a round toothpick. I'm going to cut that off. Then I'm going to put it in my hair stacker. Now, bucktail really varies from one hide to another. And you can see on this stuff, it's fairly coarse. And you have long hairs and you have real short ones. So traditionally, you would put the tips in first, but you can see that these tips they're hard to get in because they're so spread out. Even if I hold them closer, it doesn't work really well. So what I do is I will turn the top part of the hair stacker upside down, and I'll just put them in by the butts. And then I let them drop through until the hair is in far enough that I can get the bottom part on. So now I'm going to put the bottom part on. Turn it right side up. And then it's just a matter of hitting against something. So let's see, so you can see it. This is what's going on, but it works better if you do it on the desk. So you're going to hear it, but you're not going to see it. And that helps even out the tips of the bucktail. So, and you can see it's still not perfect, but you don't need to be perfect. You want it to be tapered, just probably not as much tapered as when you cut it off. And the length of bucktail that I put on, I like to have it sticking off the end of the hook somewhere between 1/2 to 2/3 the length of the shank. So right about there is good. And then with my right hand, I'm going to very tightly hold that bucktail on the top of the hook, because this is going to want to roll around the hook itself. So I'm going to do a couple of wraps. I'm going to do very tight wraps, and I am going to put a lot of pressure on this finger to hold the bucktail on top of the hook. So do some nice tight wraps like that. Then I pick up all the extra. I hold it straight up and then I cut it parallel to the hook. And usually what that does is it leaves a little bit of a taper on the front of that bundle of bucktail. So again, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it tight, and then I'm going to do some more wraps so it'll stay right there. Then I'll do a half hitch. And again, this is all mostly to prevent that bucktail from spinning around the hook. So as far as the half hitch goes, I don't know how many of you already know this simple move. So I just take two fingers. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to get it so you can see it. Okay, I'm going to take two fingers on the thread, and then I'll wrap it around my two fingers, just like that. And when you pick those up, you can see right there, that's where the threads cross. So you take that cross, you put them where you want on the hook, where you want that knot to be. Pull one of the fingers out, you start pulling it up tight, and then you just kind of hold it into place so it sits exactly where you want. And you got a half hitch, a very, very simple knot. And it's really handy to prevent your tying material from either loosening up or rolling in this case. So the next layer is going to be a layer of yellow bucktail. Again, a fairly small bundle, also probably right around the thickness of a round toothpick. And I'm going to do that business where I put the butt ends in first and let them come down. Put the bottom on. Turn it right side up. I'm going to tamp it down. I'm going to pull that out. I still have a couple of extra long ones, so I'm going to just pull them out and put them back in that bundle. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tie these directly on top of the ones on the white ones. And I make the bucktail just a hair bit longer in the back, and I'll tie it in just a hair bit forward in the front. So if you can see that, you can see where my thread is. So that's lining up maybe a 1/16 of an inch in front of the first bundle. Again, going to hold it really tight. Do some tight wraps here. Crank down on it. Lift the front parts, cut it off. Clean that up a little bit. And half hitch. Then the third bundle is going to be blue. Same procedure as the last two. Very small bundle. I think I might even actually be able to get these in tip first. There we go. And then I'm gonna stack them. When you pull it out, you hold the thing sideways so the bucktail or whatever the deer hair or whatever, you can just pull it out the end here. And again, I am going to make this just barely longer than the first two in the back and tie it in just barely forward of where I tied the yellows in. Couple of really tight wraps. Lift everything up. Cut it off. There's a few extra strands. We'll cut those off. Again, we'll just clean that up a little bit. And I'm going to take some peacock herl. Usually do somewhere between 3 and 5 stems or hurls. What do they call them? Got my overhead fan going, so we get a lot of action on these feathers. And I try to get the tips close together. Don't want to really make it perfect because you're kind of looking for the end to taper. Now these they're going to go on and they'll be a little bit longer than all of them. So maybe by 1/2, 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to tie those up, tie those on. Trim the butts. And now I'm going to make the head and clean everything up. So the disadvantage of tying on the bucktail really tight is it's similar to deer hair. It's not quite as bad as deer hair, but if you tighten it up, they splay. So, I mean, this is got at a pretty big angle here. And that's not a problem, but I like them to sit a little bit closer. So this is a simple way to get these to lay down. So I have the head, and I'm going to go to the back of the head, and I'm going to make very soft wraps. I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on it at all. And the further back you go, the more that hair will lay down. So that's already a little bit lower. And that's plenty good enough. So that helps to get everything more consolidated down here. And then it's just a matter of putting a whip finish on. And that's it. I mean, there's no weight to this fly, so it sits right below the surface of the water. Honestly, I have never caught any fish on this one, but mostly because I'm busy fishing other flies for my bass. But my buddy 1 year up in the Boundary Waters got into my box and pulled one of these out, and he caught a nice 16-inch bass right around sunset. So I guarantee they will catch fish. So, and again, this could probably be considered a imitator. It's got the color and look of minnows. So the next one is a pattern that I've never tied before, but when I was looking up information for these flies tonight, I came across this pattern. It's called Fire Tiger. And if you use lures at all, Fire Tiger is a very often used color pattern for lures. And it's like orange, yellow, and chartreuse. So, you know, there's poppers in Fire Tiger. So here is a popper in Fire Tiger. You can see it starts with orange, it goes to yellow, and then it transitions into chartreuse. Same thing. I tie these. That one I did not tie, by the way. I actually bought that. But here's a popper that I tied in basically Fire Tiger. It's orange on the bottom, and it's chartreuse on top. Same with the marabou, it's orange and chartreuse. Same with the schlappen in the back, orange and chartreuse. It's just a really good attractor for bass. So I came across this and I thought, yeah, I need to tie this. So again, get rid of that barb. And we're going to start the thread. And this time I'm going to use holographic tinsel for the body. So it's called hollow tinsel. This is large, silver hollow. Now I usually use large tinsel when I'm tying these things, but you don't have to use large. If you have medium or small, you can do it. You're just going to need to make more wraps. But a lot of times a smaller tinsel will actually lay flatter better. So again, we're going to tie this down to the bend of the hook. We're going to come forward. I'm less concerned about covering up the entire body simply because you can't see through the holographic, so it doesn't give that appearance of a black stripe down the side. And again, I'm leaving about 3/16 of an inch of bare hook. And it's the same thing. We're going to do overlapping wraps. Try to do it as nice and smooth as possible. Cover the entire shank of the hook. I'm going to tie this off. Cut off the excess. Clean it up a little bit. Half hitch. Okay, and like I said, the color scheme is orange, yellow, and chartreuse. So we're going to start out with the orange bucktail. But the exact same procedure, a small bundle of bucktail. Then we'll put it in the hair stacker. We'll tamp it down. Take the bundle out. Tie it on with about, like I say, somewhere between half to 2/3 of the length of the shank off the back of the hook. Hold it tight. Wrap tight. Pick up the excess. Clean it up. Half hitch. Then we'll put on the yellow. I usually put a little more yellow on because the yellow seems to get lost between the orange and the chartreuse. For some reason, when I get done, it's like I just feel like I can't see much of the yellow. So a little bit bigger. So maybe as thick as, oh, I don't know, a wooden match, something like that. Turn it over. That's pretty long. I'm going to cut some of that off because there's so much outside the stacker that it almost feels like it's getting ready to fall out. And so I'm going to tamp it down. Just like the other one, just barely longer than the orange. And tie it in just in front of the last tie-in point. Hold it tight, wrap tight. Pick up the excess, cut it off. Clean it up. Half hitch. Then we're going to top it off with chartreuse. Put it in the stacker. Tamp it down. And again, going to make this just a hair bit longer than the yellow. And tie it in just a hair bit in front of the yellow. Hold it tight. Wrap tight. Cut off the excess. I'll clean it up and make a head. And I'm going to do that same deal where at the end, I'm going to do very loose wraps in order to try to coax those fibers into staying closer together. Yeah, there you go. Now whip finish. And now I'm going to take a black magic marker. And I'm going to put some lines on there. So I usually go with 3 lines. And I guess this is considered the tiger stripes. So I just kind of hold it in place and just hit it with a magic marker. And I'm going to go back, do that again. And then one more time. And that's all there is to it. So again, I've had pretty good luck with Fire Tiger on my poppers, and I guess this is a popper. I don't know, whatever you would call it. It's some type of popper. So I'm hoping I'll have good luck on this bad boy too. But again, just a super simple fly, and also no weight. It's going to run right below the surface of the water, and it's a streamer, so you just want to make sure you put a lot of action into it. It's pretending to be a minnow, so the fish are going after it because of movement. So those are 2 bass flies that I tie. And let me show you a couple of traditional trout flies. One is called the Mickey fin. Now for trout, I'm using a size 10 hook, maybe even a 12, but it's a 4X long streamer hook. And it's just red and yellow. So you lay down a small bundle of yellow, then you lay on top of that a small bundle of red, and then you lay down another bundle of yellow. That's usually, you like the top yellow to be about as big as the first yellow and the first red together. So you're putting half of the bucktail on the very last on the last bundle, but it's tied with a silver tinsel. So it's just this silver and gold. So one side is silver, one side is gold. And a lot of times the pattern calls for a rib. So I used a gold oval tinsel. Oftentimes they actually recommend silver tinsel. That's the traditional pattern, would be silver tinsel, silver oval tinsel over silver tinsel. But I don't know, fish have to have better eyes than myself, because I can't even see it on there. But anyway, that's what the traditional pattern is, called the Mickey fin. And again, that's an attractor. And then we have the black nose dace. Now this one actually has a tail on it. You see a little red tail in the back. The traditional pattern calls for a yarn tail. And I know I have yarn around here someplace, but I can't find it. So I just used schlappen or saddle hackle or whatever you call it to make the tail. And then it is a layer of white bucktail, and then black bucktail, and then brown bucktail. And it does kind of have the general color scheme of the dace that are in our stream. So that should be a very effective one too. Yeah, the original recipe for it actually, instead of black bucktail, they recommend that you use black bear, but I didn't have any bear, so black bucktail does just fine. But again, so these are 4 super simple flies, effective flies, easy to tie, quick to tie, and like just no end to the variations that you can do. So that's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the red yarn. Is that because that yarn would flash out as you were stripping it or as it was going upstream? Whereas your other one looks kind of stiff and it would stay hidden within the group?
What, that tail in the back? You talked about that?
Yeah, had it been yarn, wouldn't yarn flash out or, I don't know, waggle around?
I don't, the tail is really, really short. And that amount of yarn on the back is probably not going to be any more flexible than this hackle. So
Okay.
I don't think that would really make any difference. Like I say, that's just the original pattern. That's what they called for. Back before they had woolly boogers, they had woolly worms. And the difference between the woolly booger and the woolly worm was, rather than having a marabou tail, you had a piece of yarn on the back. And a lot of times it was red yarn. And again, it was a short tail. It's just a like I say, it's a traditional material, and you don't see it that much anymore. But back even say 30 years ago, when I first started tying flies, we were tying woolly worms, and I just started hearing about woolly boogers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a traditional material. So I think either one of those would work just fine.
Okay, so when we're adding substitutes, for fly tying, whatever you substitute, it should pretty closely have the same, I don't know what you want to call it, attributes or actions in the stream that you're using to substitute for?
You know what? I don't get too worried about substitutions. I mean, so let's face it, any fly that you tie, you can do anything that you want, any kind of variation or whatever. So if you substitute, you're just making a variation of somebody else's fly. I wouldn't worry about whether it has the exact same action or whatever, experiment. I would never go out and, if I had something that came close to what a recipe says, but it wasn't the exact thing that the recipe says, chances are I'm not going out and buying it. It's just so easy so many materials to substitute that I really wouldn't worry about getting super close to it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And that goes with the colors too. I mean, just make all kinds of variations. I mean, I don't come up with I've never come up with an original fly pattern, but I have modified just about every fly pattern I've ever tied, either color or shape or material or whatever. That's the beauty of tying your own flies. You don't have to just settle for whatever they have in the store. You can do whatever you want.
That is true, that you could use it any different materials and colors. That's something that I always enjoy doing, and come up with different things. It's just a variation of different flies. But I do want to try some of those bucktail streamers, because ever since it sounds funny, but even throwing a woolly bugger that's got a little bit of weight, after a while my arm starts getting sore because of where I had hurt it and had surgery. But something like
Sure.
Mickey Finn has no weight to it, so
Right.
it would be a little bit easier on my arm. And that's absolutely something I want to try during the catch and release at Bennett. That's usually the time that I go out and try different things. It's, I kind of go out there during the summer and regular season and catch fish, but take time to try something different. You never know what, learn a new skill, and it's, wow, this is kind of fun, and just something to kind of change up your game and add a little trick to your technique. So Jim, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, you know what? If nobody else wants to tie, I have another pattern that I was considering untying tonight. But let me tie it next week. It's called the fox squirrel nymph. It's
Okay.
a Dave Whitlock fly, and it's kind of a cross between a nymph and a soft hackle, and it's a very effective fly, and again, it's not too difficult to tie.
Very cool. Thank you. Oh, look who's coming in late, Walt. So we got Walt coming in. We kind of talked a little bit earlier. You were asking about, I don't know if it was this fly or not. Let me see if I can.
Oh yeah, there you go.
A spotlight for everyone so I could see what I'm doing. Oop, kind of jumpy on the table. So basically, that's a size 16 thread jig, and you can see the tippet ring there. That's what I will normally tie. That's a size 18 zebra midge, but I put a little crystal flash on it, and that's basically what I like doing. And if you the bead on the zebra midge is just a glass bead, so it's got no weight, so it just trails behind whatever tractor pattern I have, and it just kind of flutters there, and that's usually what I catch most of my fish on, is that black zebra. But I don't know if it was that, and I'll kind of one day I'll show how to do that other where I tie to the line. And I'm back to the normal. So all right, anyone have any questions for anyone?
Hey, Walt, it's too bad that you missed tonight's fly tying. I tied a mouse just for you, because I know you wanted to see that mouse, so I tied that up just for you.
There it is, deer hair mouse.
Is that what you're looking for?
Who tied it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just tied it tonight.
Yeah, Jim just tied it tonight, Walt.
He did it for you.
You missed it. Day late and $1 short.
Yeah, let me spotlight that for you. There, look at that bad boy.
There you go.
Well, can you do it again real quick, please?
I'm just messing with you, big guy. I bought this thing. There's no way I could tie that. I'm not good enough to tie that, but that is kind of I assume that's what you were kind of looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys saw the ones I tied, but yeah, they look good. So
Yeah, it's got a little tail and ears and eyes and all kinds of stuff. I couldn't do that in a million years.
Yeah, that one looks good too. I kind of like where it's kind of got, it's like ribbing effect or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, mine looks. The only difference I do with mine is realistically. I mean, did I think it's the way you shave it down. It's got to be, or you got to tie it so that the hair goes back.
Yeah,
It spreads out.
we'll have
Yeah,
to do that.
I'm not sure what kind of hair that is. It's not deer hair.
It's real
So-
fine hair, whatever it is.
I don't know what it is.
I wonder if it's
Maybe
raccoon.
it is deer. Hey, you know what? I take it back. I'm looking at the bottom here, and that's deer hair. So I guess it's just a natural deer hair, but it's the tips are a little white, and it's almost like a grizzly feather that goes from light to dark and stuff like that. It's
It looks like the fur is a little bit closer to the belly of the deer than along the back.
okay.
Yeah. It is. Where'd you get it at?
I don't know. I could have gotten it at Hargroves. I could have gotten it up in Minnesota.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. I'm sure Hargrove sells something like that, and I'm sure Feathercraft does too.
Yeah. It'd be a pretty penny too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
think-
$5, $6, $7
Yeah,
fly.
they're about $5 everywhere at Cabela's. The ones I saw at Cabela's was about $5,
Yeah,
which, I mean, it takes about 10 minutes to make one, if that.
I don't know. Spinning deer hair,
You're-
that takes a
you're a
while.
better man than I if you can do that in 10 minutes.
Yeah. That would take
No,
me an hour.
I do a lot of them. I make them for the patients at the VA,
Okay.
and then I make different colors, like the women,
But he's
you
only tying them on a size 10 hook.
Yeah. I tie them on a safety pin for the women or for anybody at the nursing homes, at the veterans homes,
Yeah.
and they, it's a shame. And you ask these older women, when were you in the army or what did you do? Oh, I was in the medical field. I was in 1969, and I thought, shit, she could have been my boss. And she really looks old and ugly, and I'm almost her age, It's like, holy crap.
Uh,
Oh, Walt, you crack me up.
Only
Hey,
Walt.
hey, Mick, I went to the VA today. I need to talk to you.
all right. After the meeting,
After-
stay on and we'll talk a little bit. So I
Okay.
just wanna, Jim will tie again next week. Things that are coming up. I don't think I have anything set up for the rest of September. I don't know if. Yeah, we're kind of it's next week and that's it. So I don't know if anyone wants to try to get something together, we can. I don't know if anyone wants to run up to Merrimack Spring or something, we could kind of look either the 23rd, 24th or 30th or, well, not even the 30th. I'm not going to say the 30th. So if anyone wants to do something the 23rd or 24th, we could try to get some fishing in, but when I was looking at the calendar, I was like September 30th, but no, next day after that is October 1st. Sunday, we're meeting in Union for the fishing day through American Legion and Scott. So that's October 1st. The following, nothing the following weekend, but The 14th and 15th of October is the Holland Derby at Bennett. We're gonna try for the 21st at the American Legion again. What we did yesterday, we're gonna try the 21st. It'll be a little bit later, around noon. Frank's got to double check, make sure the hall's still open for us. 28th, nothing really planned yet, but
Lily, come here.
so after that, that'll be the last weekend for catch and keep for the parks, but soon, I know this is already kind of going into November, but it'll be here in no time flat. And we will try to do some of the urban fishing. I know we always have fun at Jefferson Lake and Forest Park. Hargroves usually has a little fishing derby, either November, December. We try to go to that. That's a good time, but that lake always does well for us. And there's a nice little concrete pad where we could hang out. And I think Terry and I, a bunch of us were sitting out there, Lee, we're just casting right from our lawn chairs because of how it was set up. So we weren't even standing. We got real lazy, but catching a lot of trout out there. So we have plenty of things going on. And before that too, we'll have to actually, you know, I don't want to race up time, but we'll start planning for, you know, we need to finish the rods that we still have going on now, so I could go into another rod build in February. So if you guys want to do that again, we'll do another rod build in February. So
Just bring the one I have.
yeah, well, that's something that we talked about where we'll talk about again. We're looking at that October 21st at the American Legion again. We have that place for several hours. We could almost do up to, I think Frank said we could almost do 4 hours, you know, it's as long as nothing's going on.
Right.
You guys want to bring your rods to, you know, work on your rods, we can. If there's a
What about
certain,
a Saturday versus Saturday afternoon? Would that be? Is there a room that we can use, Frank?
I'm sorry.
Is there a room that we could use other than that? Is that where's the bar at? Downstairs?
Yeah.
So this room is not is open all the time then, like?
Well, I won't know till tomorrow. Make sure there's no hall rentals, but normally there's nothing going on the weekends during the day. And if we want to go downstairs, like I said, Mick was downstairs, so I'll leave it up to him whether he wants to meet upstairs like we did yesterday or if he wants to go downstairs.
either way works for us.
Yeah.
Where's the tab at?
Say again?
Where's the tab at? Where's the tab?
Oh, the tap, the beer tap. Yeah, that's in the basement.
Okay.
So anyway, so that'll be the 21st. If you guys want to bring your rods, you could do that. If you if there's a certain fly you want to tie, you know, let me know. I could go get the materials to do that. Especially when if you know, spinning deer hair, you know, that's something hard, you know, if maybe we'll do that over 2 or 3 nights, you know, on a Zoom call because those aren't fast flies. You do have to stack a lot of deer hair and shaving, and those take a while. A lot of those flies could take up to an hour, and we'll see if we could get Denny on as well because he does some beautiful poppers.
Oh, he's the master.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's artwork what Denny does.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I could bug him one time, and maybe let's see if we could even get him to come out on one of those Saturdays or Sundays at American Legion and just watch him do it. It's amazing what he could do. So again, you know, focusing on those days, whatever you guys want to do on those weekends, let me know.
So when did we switch to Tuesday?
We're going to be Monday right now for a while because we never did get the funding to get back to JB. So I'm still waiting for headquarters to open that up so we could get everything Kenny needs. So we're going to keep on doing Mondays on Zoom until we could get Kenny back at JB. So
Okay,
and
all
it's
right,
still
thanks.
TBD, and it's you know, even by the time they're like, all right, here's your money, by the time they process all the orders they got, who knows when we're going to get everything we need. So it could be October, it could be February. It's just whenever headquarters releases that funds. But in the meantime, like I said, those weekends, you know, if there's anything you want to try, you know, let me know, you know, because those are, you know, we get hours. So if there's even some of the articulated flies I haven't tried as much, but we could give those a try. So that's all I've got for tonight. We're already 4 minutes over, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Jim will be tying again next week. And again, if you need anything, I'll get emails out and let me know if you need anything. And so I'll let you guys go, Walt. I'll stay on. So,
Bye, everybody.
all right, everyone take care.
Headlines all from Omaha.